Oh my gosh. Megs.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Do we got some spoilers to bring up?
Oh my goodness gracious. Yes.
It's going to get spicy. It's going to be spoiled. But sure as heck, it's going to be tasty because we have a pretty cool guest here today. Don't we?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. Before I bring on our first guest, hi guys. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Alex Mack, part of the Cold Action crew, and I'm here with the lovely Miss Megs.
Hello.
And we are going to be breaking down the next match in the Tournament of Teams tournament for the Schmodown. It's going to be awesome. We're finally coming to a closing into the next round of the teams tournament for Schmodown, and we have a competitor that we're going to be breaking down her match today, actually, between the Lethal Weapons, representing the Usual Suspects, led by Sam Levine, up against Deception, that is represented by Shannon Barney, being part of Corruption. So, a lot to take in, All right, so we're going to go ahead and bring up our guest, Miss Marisol McKee. What's up, girl?
Hey.
Hello, ladies.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going fabulous. It's a beautiful evening. Life is good.
Life is good. Your
Something
positivity is very, very nice right now. I have to say, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but you're a pretty positive, person in this whole situation. Am I exaggerating, or are you faking it?
No. You just got to take it a day at a time. There's a lot of darkness in the world right now, but it's that much more important that we hold on to those moments that are just sweet. And today was just sweet. So
yes, a very sweet match for you in particular. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, guys, thank you so much again for hanging out with us for this breakdown. And Megs, this is going to be a really interesting match for you in particular, because we're going to be diving into the first segment of tonight's episode, which is Match My Stats. Megs, take it away, girl.
What have we got here today? Oh my goodness. We had the Lethal Weapons up against Deception. When we come out of round one, Deception is up 15-14, with Ethan Irwin and Adam Collins both coming out with perfect rounds plus the bonus. Andrew Guy and Marisol McKee coming out with 5 and 6 points respectively. Deception elects to spin that wheel first, and they come out with taking Harrison Ford on that first spin, and they go 11 for 12 available points, only checking down the multiple choice once. Then we get into the Lethal Weapons. They spend that dreaded opponent's choice on that first time, so they are saddled with Alfred Hitchcock films. They are able to answer 3 of their questions by checking down the multiple choice, 1 going for the full 2 points. However, they do give up 2 2-point steals, which Deception is able to scoop up, and that unfortunately puts us into a 19-30 score by the end, which results in a KO or knockout. Lethal Weapons are able to answer 18 of their 23 questions, giving them a 78.3%, and Deception is able to answer 23 of 25 questions for a 92%. And Lethal Weapons is able to attain 63% of their 30 available points, and Deception getting 88% of their 34 available points. Ooh,
spoilers.
Boy. Spoiled.
That's a lot to take in for this match, and I do want to give you guys a heads up. Like, diving into this match, the Usual Suspects obviously are now exactly in a situation where they're exactly in contention for a Faction of the Year, Manager of the Year, or anything like that. They're definitely on the lower tier of the faction standings with a whopping 22 points currently, versus Corruption currently at 62 points, obviously in first place. And this whole situation definitely puts a little bit of extra icing on that cake. That's for dang
It
sure.
does.
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited to
sprinkles, all of it?
Well, are you excited to contribute such to that icing on the cake?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it's a super squad. It's a super faction, and it's exciting to be on it, but even more exciting to feel like you said, like you are contributing in some way to and we all have each other's backs, and it makes it that much more rewarding when it really pays off, and you can put your hat in there and say that you say that you helped the team out to move us all forward. And that just makes today feel that much better.
Well, and especially going into the beginning of the season, everyone was very critical of Shannon's draft, thinking that she didn't have a strong squad, that she didn't have much potential. And now look where you guys are at. Yes, a lot of rookies. But you guys have just all molded together so well under Shannon's tutelage to where you guys are well on the way to essentially tying up the faction standing lead if things continue to go your guys' way in this tournament.
Yeah. She knows how to take all those ingredients together and make one hell of a stew. I'll tell you that. And here we are, like you said.
Yeah.
Well, real quick. Who was the first person to propose the idea of Deception being a team of you and Adam Collins? Who was the first person to be like, hey, let's put these two together based off their X, Y, and Z? They could totally mesh well perfectly.
It was like really, it was truly organic. It was something that was like, there's something in the air, and all the chips really did fall into place. Like when it was wrapping up, it was right around that time. It was right around that time when Mike and Chance won, when they had that stellar victory against the Founding Fathers. That it was almost like a simultaneous thing. Like I was thinking it, Adam was thinking it, and we were thinking it without even like saying it to each other. And Shannon came to us and was just like, so this is happening. How do you guys feel about this? I've been thinking about this. Do you guys want this to happen? Is this going to be a thing? And it was just, it couldn't have said yes any faster. So there was no convincing. There was no, somebody had to pitch it and get somebody else on board, like it was a reflection of a manager being on the same page with her squad, with her players, having the right instinct, and them meeting her right there with the yes, with the confirmation. So
that's awesome.
Shannon.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And not to mention, I know, someone actually pointed out in the chat, which I think, it makes sense. Shannon didn't have a good draft. Those criticisms were and are still valid. And just to point out, when she did draft, I do think she had a very much draft that was high risk, high reward, and that's what it came from it. And, she didn't, very similar to Kaiser, she didn't draft safely. She didn't draft safely, with so many team players. She went with a lot of rookies, and, it just worked out in her favor this season. And obviously, very much so. And that actually comes into our next segment, which is Match Thesis. So, guys, Match Thesis specifically is our biggest bold thought regarding this match. Anything that, any huge takeaways from this match, the best moments of this, the worst this, whatever it may be, is that coming from our big thoughts regarding this match. Now, Megs, Miss Numbers Queen, did you have any big match thesis for this match?
I did. And this is something that has kind of been developing ever since the beginning of the singles tournament. But my big takeaway from this is that Collins is having the most dominant rookie season for a singles and teams competitor since Anarchy season.
So overall?
Yes.
Most dominant rookie season of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
When you're talking about a combination of singles and teams, the performance we've seen so far.
Girl.
Hey, it's a thought. It is a thesis.
That is a bold thesis, and I'm so here for it. I love that. Marisol, I obviously, now you are a competitor in this match, but, behind the scenes and everything, do you have any match thesis regarding this match as well?
Well, I mean, look, there's just the stakes behind it are, I feel like, disproportionately huge for two rookies coming into a match. Like, when has there ever been like expectations, So I feel like expectations like this for two pretty new competitors. So I mean, you got to go big or go home. So I think going into this match, you say like, okay, well, this is a situation that we haven't anticipated before and anticipated on this level. So let's go all the way for it. You know, let's swing for it, and let's expect big things, and let's put our money on that. So that's awesome.
I definitely agree with you there for Marisol, is that you guys are definitely one of the best rookie teams we've seen this season. Period. There's no arguing that. You know, and again, spoilers ahead. We're like actively going into this match. If you haven't seen this match, sorry.
What are you doing?
Yeah, we're fine. Thanks for hanging out, but like it was from the get-go. You know, for this one in particular, I actually didn't realize it, but I actually ended up posting in September 10th of this year. I actually posted my thesis for this match, which is just putting this out there. Shannon is the best manager for a Schmodown rookie, hashtag Schmodown. So I put that, yeah, look at that, September 10th.
You did that.
I did that. And this, and I totally actually forgot about that, like that, my theory behind it, but watching this just reaffirmed my idea surrounding that. So that is my match thesis. And we're going to go into this one in particular, and we're going to kind of dive into why Shannon specifically is a really great manager for rookies. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of love for everyone in the chat, but also Adam's like, hey, Marisol, Laura, Helig, you know, all are pretty stellar competitors. Couldn't agree more. But also can't forget, guys, draft Maxwell. Yes. Not sure what's going on, but people saying blame PLD, and I peer as if it's supposed to be true.
We always blame PLD.
always blame PLD. All right. Okay. So we're going to be diving into the match itself. All right. Now, just going to go ahead and pull this up here. And again, we are just not going to be going into the promos or any of that stuff. We're going to be diving straight into the match. Oh, whoopsie. Ooh, should I kiss? Oh, whoopsie. I forgot I'm logged on as myself.
The other. I do it to
That's
myself.
Okay. That's okay. You know what?
You can't forget your skincare, Alex. I mean, this is essential.
As an esthetician, literally it's my job.
I was going to say that this applies.
Literally my job. Now, going into this match, Marisol, did you feel a lot of pressure from Shannon all that much going into it? Did you put a lot of pressure on yourselves, or did you guys kind of just have this feeling of whatever happens?
No pressure from either my teammate or my manager, because they, God bless them, they just believe in me so much. My biggest hurdle was myself. The most pressure was put on by me, on myself. I didn't want to disappoint anybody. Just speaking like directly because of Adam. Adam had already made, oh my gosh, Adam had already made a name for himself in the biggest possible way. And I was feeling pressure personally just to be worthy of that, be worthy of being his partner. And none of that pressure came from him. He would remind me every day that I was, like he was right there giving me all the confidence. He had all the confidence in me in the world. He wasn't faking it. He had all the confidence, and he still does have all the confidence in me in the world. He wasn't worried about it. And he put that forward. He pushed that energy forward, like moving into this match, which I think shows, and helped lifted me through this match a lot, because most of the pressure was coming from me. And the same goes for Shannon. Shannon was unwavering. Shannon had no doubts. And she was just barking votes of confidence left and right, for us.
Well, with that being said, I mean, how does she, I don't want to say train you or prep you, but how does she make you feel so confident going into a match like this? I know, like, let's be honest. I know you just said it yourself just a few moments ago, but we are all, like, 95% of the time, we are our own worst critic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's hard not to be, and so what does Shannon do to you and Adam specifically that makes you feel that much better, that much more confident going into a match like this when, there are stakes, sure, but the stakes aren't like all on you guys to succeed.
She does well by not disillusioning us, like reminding us of the facts, that 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 we were ahead, but it wouldn't be that it wasn't going to be on our shoulders, or that even though, like, if this happens, it will be nice, but nobody's expecting that from you. Like, she wouldn't put that pressure on, like, this is what we must do. She has the confidence in our abilities that we would accomplish it, but it's not like she didn't make us feel like, all right, because we're winning the faction war, right? That's the mentality you guys are going into this. Like, like, it's just, you guys are excellent, so you're going to win this game. And then, by extension, yeah, we'll win the faction war. But she knows what she has in front of her, and she would just remind us of what our strengths are, what their weaknesses are. With her insight, she would use it to anticipate, like, she was able to anticipate a lot of what Andrew Guy was going to bring to the table here, because that was the big, that was the mystery factor here. We were upfront about what to expect from Ethan, and prepared for all scenarios with Guy. Whether the ways that he may have tried to get in our heads or not, she wanted us to be ready for, like, worst case scenarios, and best case scenarios. And just by talking about, like, bad things that could happen, as well as the good things that can, it kind of sheds, instead of just, like, brushing over them and acting like they're not going to happen, and be like, you're great, you're going to crush it, you're going to kill it, you're amazing. It makes you feel, it made me feel, that right there made me feel more confident about going into it, because there was just a transparency there, and an honesty there that makes you feel like you can conquer anything. In a genuine sense.
I feel like it can be very difficult for a manager to do that, because sometimes managers can make you feel overconfident in a way that's not realistic. Like, you need to buckle down, and you need to actively try and, like, work on this. But at the same time, you got this. You're okay. You're good. You're in a safe space. But you don't need to be an asshole about it, if that makes sense. Sometimes if you go into a match, like, overly confident, and maybe I don't know if a lethal weapon did potentially going into this match, if they were, or whatever it might be, but overconfidence can really kill you sometimes, unfortunately.
And it can, and it wasn't overconfidence, it was just confidence in the strategy, and we did strategize. And when you have a clear plan, rather than, like I said, like, saying just, like, you're awesome and you're going to kill it, just keep studying, kids, like, like, you're gonna be great. When you really lay out, like, an actual strategy, and you can break it down, and really, like, and lay out a path to victory against your opponents, it makes all the difference in the world. It's not by accident. It's just not just, like, hoping you get the questions right, and and be like, oh, I'm great, I can do it. You actually know what you're doing, and can anticipate what's going to happen in the match, even if going into here, like, like, I miss a couple questions, in the first round. But we were you prepare for all scenarios. Wasn't hoping that would happen, but we were not phased at all that it did, either of us. Like, we were just prepared to keep moving forward.
Something I saw that was interesting, it was a little bit earlier. We're now in about, looks like, question 5, give or take. But they threw in movie quotes as a category in round 1, which I have not seen in quite some time. When you hear that, what was kind of your gut reaction of, wow, we haven't seen this come up very often this season, if at all?
Movie quotes is, it's an infamous category, because it's all the movies ever.
Right.
Of all time.
Of all time.
All decades, all genres. Like, that category. Seriously.
It makes sense. That's why it scares the pants off of people, because it really is a crapshoot. Either you saw that movie or you didn't, or you've paid enough attention to general quotes, or you haven't. And what is good about what is I really love it for like a spicy category in round one is because especially the question writers are not making it. You're not going to find their quotes on like, you know, the AFI top 100 or something like that. You're not going to find the obvious quotes. They're smarter than that. They dig a little deeper than that. They will pull like quotes from probably like popular movies, which they did here. I mean, they usually do, but not the obvious quote from those movies, which I really do appreciate. And it worked on me here. So I overthought it. I just overthought it. I just didn't think they were going to ask another question about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because they just love that movie, especially round one.
They tend to go through phases of movies where they go through a bunch of a particular strain of movies and then they move on to something else. So
like after, like, oh my gosh, the Sean Connery questions.
Yes.
It's funny because a lot of these matches were like filmed like weeks, sometimes months ago, and it's just funny kind of seeing that all kind of play out now. This question in particular, for the anime question, I also kept thinking, I also got it wrong because I kept thinking, I know for a fact it's not Fievel Goes West because that is a sequel to the first movie, and that is the subtitle of the sequel.
Yes.
I just kept thinking of that title, and I was like, I know it's not this. What? Give me another title.
What's the other one? Yeah.
I know it. I can give you a plot synopsis even without this. I know everyone.
Is this another situation where kind of like, for me, Rescuers Down Under, where the sequel is more memorable than the original?
Dude, I love Rescuers.
I think that's very valid. It's very valid.
Oh, The Rescuers Down Under is by far one of, in my opinion, the most scratch that is Rescuers Down Under is most underappreciated and underrated in general Disney animated film of all time. Indeed, yeah. I stand by it.
That you said it. There it is, and there it is.
I love Tourney.
So it's awesome. It's so awesome seeing both Ethan and Adam able to come out with this perfect round and bonus question. I mean, obviously, I think, did you know this bonus question as well?
Absolutely.
I was going to say, I think you and Guy were both kicking yourselves of like, I would have known this one.
I mean, I know. He said it, and it took a lot. It took a lot in me to say, like, you know, like, I would never. I can't bring myself to say those kind of things because, look, they speak for themselves. Like, oh, I knew that one. Well, you didn't know the 3 that you missed, so who cares? Like, that's always what I want to say when people say things like that. I was like, we know. Like, of course I knew the answer to that bonus question, but it didn't matter because I made critical. That's every question matters. I didn't apply myself to the questions that I should have in round one. And even thinking like, we had just seen like my miss with Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I kicked myself for a specific reason after, because, you know, I kick myself a lot. I'm very mean to myself. But I kicked myself after that one because for a really particular reason. So while I didn't have the answer, I had written down Keanu Reeves and who's in the film, you know, but I just, that was one of those moments where I just like, still in spite of, and I had already forgot something that I want to like commit myself to when I play is like never show like a blank board, never say you don't have it, like never give nothing, you know, because it's not useful, it's not helpful, and people like even if you want it's something that can speak for itself in terms of people assessing your knowledge. It gives people an unfair snapshot of like your ability or your knowledge, you know, which I had told myself about. And so like at that moment, like even at that moment, you know, Andrew Geis is like, I don't have it. You just didn't have it. Me, I had Keanu Reeves on my board, but I still chose not to show it, you know, but at the same moment, like it looked like I don't know. I don't fucking know. Like, excuse me. Sorry for cursing. I mean, or I couldn't curse, whatever. I forget where I am sometimes. But it made it look like, like I just had no idea what that movie even was or who was even in it or where it's even from. I do know actually objectively a lot about that movie. And I just drew blank on Hellsing. But instead of that, instead of just demonstrating some kind of knowledge about the film, which would have not given me a point, I just pretty much gave a blank board, which is something that I would want to correct for the future. That's something that this was a teaching moment for me. It taught me this in this game.
I think everyone has kind of their own approach of how they deal with that situation from a strategy standpoint as well. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's at least my take on it. You know, I'm not gonna with all of my ability, I'm not gonna say anything, but you should at least, the point of a trivia competition, to demonstrate your knowledge to the best of your ability. And that's what I'm gonna try to do.
As Lucas likes to remind me pretty regularly that in our relationship, I'm the nerd, because at the end of the day, like, he's like into Warhammer and D&D and all this stuff, but he's like, Alex, people know what that is, though. People don't know what Schmodown is. At the end of the day, you're a bunch of really cool people chatting about trivia. And that's what it comes down to. And sometimes it can be very difficult to put things in perspective sometimes, with all the pressure that we put on ourselves. Even you guys especially, but I mean, like, even us as reactors, like, at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, just kind of chill sometimes, you know, just have to remember that. We are going to be going into the next segment, which is the spin is in. We're going to do a little bit of a wheel analysis real quickly. Can you tell us what that wheel is?
So on that wheel, we had Harrison Ford, Hitchcock, 2000s, famous actors and actresses, scores and soundtracks, Meryl Streep, Coen Brothers, biopics, modern classics, family films, and of course, spinners and opponent's choice.
This is a weird wheel.
It's a weird wheel.
This is a weird wheel. We chat for like 15 minutes about this wheel before we went live, Marisol. You don't know that, but before you like came and hung out with this, we were like, this is such a weird flippin' wheel. This is not a casual viewer's wheel.
No. What do you call it? It's a critic's wheel.
It's very much a critic's wheel. You know, we say that because there's a handful of categories in particular that are very specific to critics, like modern classics, Hitchcock, the Coen Brothers. You know, classics are also on there, I believe, as well.
It's just modern classics, not regular classics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you. You know, biopics. These are all very specific to movie critics. You know, you kind of expect this kind of wheel for people that are like Alonzo Duralda and Drew McQueenie and Mark Hoyk, you know, like, that are very traditional movie critics versus like more casual participants or people that are, you know, more personalities than critics, if that makes sense. And so because there's not any like huge, there's not any category in particular that is very easy. Like modern classics. What the heck is a modern classic anyway?
I feel like the definition changes and no one really gives a clear answer most of the time. I'm sure there is a definition, but it feels ominous.
It's like historical epics. I don't know what a historical epic is.
We want to see this category though. So much.
I want it so bad. We debate that all the time, and we're like, we just need a hardcore definition for Schmodown. But yeah, this is a very weird wheel. So with Megs, what are some of your category guesses for team deception? What do you think they put on the wheel?
Yes.
You don't need to confirm or deny anything, Marisol. I just want to put that out there.
Yes. So I definitely could have seen Coen Brothers and Harrison Ford being something that Lethal Weapons would have potentially put on there, mainly from my knowledge of Andrew Guy, specifically, not as much Ethan Irwin. And then for Deception, I think your guys' choice to give them Hitchcock on Opponent's Choice gives a little bit of insight on that. Might have been something that you guys chose to put on there. And then otherwise, nothing else was really standing out as an obvious. Again, a lot of these are very broad categories, so there aren't a whole lot of really super niche ones, except for maybe Harrison Ford, Meryl Streep, and in the Coen Brothers. But even those guys have very broad filmographies on their own. So
which is very difficult to study for. It's very hard. It's almost like they worked at and strategized or something.
I know. Do that.
I don't like it. I don't like it
What's
at all.
studying? I don't study. Shouldn't I? Am I supposed to be one of those competitors that wears it like a badge of honor? I just compete in this competitively, but I don't try at all.
Of course not. Of course not.
Love me.
My pick for you guys, I bet you chose Coen Brothers in the 2000s. And I say that because I say that 2000s because it's the age thing. I feel like, honestly, you kind of growing up in the 2000s when you just start getting into movies. I feel like that would be a very doable one. That and also the Coen Brothers in particular, because I feel like it's a very difficult category to study for. I feel like a lot of people think they're good at Coen Brothers, but not actually super great on it. But I think you guys are, considering it's you two. So you guys kind of are the exception to the rule.
Everybody thinks they're good at Coen Brothers until you ask them some deep cuts on Blood Simple.
Exactly.
And then they're like
there's the first movie that Frances McDormand starred in, directed by the Coen Brothers. Exactly. It's hard. She's been in like 50 of them. But I say I went with those just because I feel like I heard a few matches where that was his selected strength, or I've heard him in matches where he ended up getting those questions and he ended up doing well. So those are my guesses overall. Now for the Lethal Weapons, Marisol, did you have any picks or what ideas on what the Lethal Weapons drinks would have been?
It's actually interesting. I think I line up with I could totally see Megs. I can totally see your reasoning there with Harrison Ford and Coen Brothers, right? Those are the two you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can understand that. More if we're playing a match against the Lethal Weapons, we should try to at least pay attention to stuff that they've done before. So we did watch their past matches. And I think that one I'm kind of right there with you, or I guess that kind of falls in the realm of things they would pick, which also made it pretty calculated. The move that we did next when we did spin and we spun first, we didn't make that decision lightly. But we had talked about it before. And right. we were keeping those kind of things in mind, like you were saying. So those would have actually probably been my picks too, from what they put on. So there you go.
Okay.
My picks for them for Lethal Weapons would have to be Harrison Ford and actors and actresses.
Oh, okay. So leaning on Ethan's extensive Hollywood knowledge to pull some of those. Okay.
Absolutely. I say that, I feel like it's also, when it's a broader category like that, it's usually the questions are a tad more surface level. It's like, what Oscar winner was in this movie? What actor director ended up doing this, that kind of thing. So it is usually, because it is so broad, it's a little bit more surface level, but I do think that Ethan Irwin, he's always great in those categories, in the actors categories, Jodie Foster, Julia Roberts, all that good stuff, so that's why I went with that. But also Harrison Ford, he's more commonly known for being more of an action guy, an adventure kind of guy. And as a result, Andrew Guy, he's also mentioned some of his favorite movies of all time, or definitely in that sphere. So those are my picks for his strengths. They each put on the wheel.
I also did low key consider family films as well as actually something that they might have put on because of especially like old matches that I had looked at. It does seem to be like, based on what we had seen from the questions from those, it did seem like something that Andrew Guy could navigate. Pretty well. So that was, I just remembered that one. That was another one too.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
It's all good.
But I think we're all in agreement about that Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Harrison Ford's, it's really, you never know where you're going to go with that category. But obviously you guys succeeded.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and play it again and continue. Now, you ended up initially spinning swords and soundtracks. Now,
that's where it's that. That's just where it's sitting.
I
They
think that's where
spin
it
Harrison.
started. Yeah.
My bad.
You guys. They spin Harrison Ford first,
My
and they
bad.
spin on the first spin.
You're totally right. Forget me. We also did get a super chat from Mr. Mukbang Review saying thanks for a great match and for being here, Marisol. That you did great. Did you have a favorite film of 2020? And the answer is 100% Little Women, right?
Thank you so much, huh?
The answer is Little Women, right?
That's 2019. That's 2019,
that is 2019. It is 2019.
What year is it even?
Well, to be fair, Little Women came out in, was it December of 19?
Yeah, I think it was
so I didn't see
the third week in December.
Yeah, I didn't see it until this year.
So for you, it's a 2020 film, but
it's like 1917. Movie 1917 wasn't. It was released in festivals in December and November of 2019, but it is technically considered a 2020 film because it didn't get
another one of those.
A wide release until January of 2020.
Sneaky.
Technically.
Sneaky with so many of those like award contenders though, like a lot of them don't necessarily get wide releases though. So like their limited release, like that's happened in like October, November, December.
Uncut Gems, for example.
Yeah. It's usually like I've always usually disassociated that go if you know you're like a serious like Oscars contender, like that limited release is your official US release as far as I'm concerned. But that's just me.
But that makes it very difficult for if we're going to be going into a category like movie release dates. So
that one get. Oh,
a whole nother thing.
Did I start something?
I think we might have just started something here.
No, but I've had many a debate and conversations with people about what is that point that you say that something was in theaters, and it's an exasperating conversation to have, because of all the things that you said. Like, do you count when it dropped in the South by Southwest Film Festival? Do you count like do you think about Venice, or do you think about when it was specifically like released into it came out in limited release, like domestically, or do you factor in okay, it went wide, over like 1,500 theaters and it officially went wide? Everybody's got a different answer. Or do you just go off of what IMDb says? And you can't trust IMDb because IMDb will never mind.
It will manipulate you so much, so quickly.
IMDb will pick the most obscure festival that it happened to show in September of like 2001, when it came out into theaters like domestically, and it came out into a lot of theaters and everything in like 2002. IMDb will pull that all the time, and they'll put the year before. But that's neither here nor there.
Do you want to pause on this for? I'm going to pause on for this, right? Because I know this moment in particular, this category in particular, in general for you for the Harrison Ford, there is a handful of questions that you really took the lead on. This one especially, but did you want to? Is there anything about it that you kind of wanted to mention?
Yeah. Other than this was plain it. I just appreciate, there were some that I took the lead on because Adam and I work so well together, because we not only do we make sure you can't go into a match without knowing your partner and knowing what your partner knows. Like, how are you supposed to really play together if you guys aren't in sync on that level? Like, I know what he knows and he knows what I know. Like we have that down. And I think that's reflected really well in our round 2. And that's why, naturally I'm able to take the lead on some of these questions. And he takes the lead on others. For this one, this was just, we erred on the side of caution.
So you had, your initial guess was ultimately correct, but you had that just enough shadow of a doubt.
It was just, so I was honestly, I was 90% sure it was a cello. I've seen that movie a handful of times when I was younger. And I was 90% sure it was a cello. It just, was it worth to take the swing? I didn't think that if there was even just a shadow of a doubt, I didn't think it was impressive or worth it for us to swing on something that I wasn't 100% sure about. So, and I knew that I was right. I knew enough that Cello was most likely right. So if we go to 1 point, we already had a good, comfortable lead at this point. Like, I felt good about the lead. That also factored into it too. If we could just go to multiple choice, so I could just eke that 90% to 100%. We were both on the same page, which is why Adam suggested the multiple choice. It was worth it. So we did it.
Yeah. And when I go in and analyze somebody's gameplay as far as, whether they're checking down a multiple choice or staying 2 points, it's not just about the pure number and accuracy itself. It's like, where are you at during the game? Do you feel like you have that kind of leeway to check down a multiple choice consistently based on how your opponent's been performing or how you feel that they will moving forward? So I think it's not just a straight numbers game. I do a lot of stat stuff, but I also factor a lot of other things into whether or not someone wasn't sure on a category or if they were just being extra cautious that day.
It was just being cautious because I knew we were both comfortable with this category. Like it was and it's all that kind of preparation and knowing your partner and feeling comfortable with your partner that allows me to us to make that decision without panic or just second guessing it. We just did, because I felt absolutely confident that we were going to do well on any of the other questions that came in that category. And we did.
And I think, and that confidence that you both have in each other, I think factors into the steals that come up later on in this match as well.
It's definitely, it's a really, really tricky situation, but I do want to highlight the big moment that Adam said, that losing Marisol and Schmobase was the highlight of my career so far. Are you still glowing from your win last night?
Oh yeah. I rubbed it in his face a couple times in a couple texts. Oh yeah. That felt good. But no, he was an honorable competitor. It was a pleasure. It was an honor, sir. I'll hold on to my victory and I'll cherish it. I will cherish it.
Yes. We did also receive another super chat. Just a refund from Mukbang again. Sorry, my dude. LOL.
Oh my god. I didn't say my movie.
Convo regarding movie release, but my question went unanswered. What is your favorite film in 2020? I'm so sorry.
No, you're amazing. Oh duh. See, you get me. It's all Alex's fault. She got me. She triggered me with that goddamn.
I did.
Brought up movie release dates.
She
incurred my wrath. I just went blind with rage. For 2020, if we're talking about like theatrical releases, strictly theatrical releases, the photograph, not that I saw like everything that came out in 2020, but I think The Photograph was my personal favorite of the films that I saw so far. Really? Yeah. It was really close. It was really close. I did dig Birds of Prey. But I think that The Photograph eked it out just a little more in terms of what it hit me. It was a very mature story, very different than a lot of romantic movies about young people falling in love that I had seen. I thought it was a very touching and a story that worked on a lot of levels. I would pick The Photograph. In terms of movies that I've seen, like digitally, I'm a little behind on movies streaming since then for the rest of 2020, but Cuties is up there. That French film. That is one that was really, really, really high up there on the list for me. Defy Bloods, Spike Lee's new film, is another one. But I think the biggest one, the one that impacted me the most right now, is Cuties, which got unfairly blasted. It's so, I don't know if are you privy to this? Yeah, I won't get into it. You can look it up. Yeah. It sickens me. It really, 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 really chaps my ass, like thinking about how this movie just got. It does, man. This movie
heard that saying before.
It frustrates me.
I was gonna say, I don't think Alex has ever heard this. I think we're nigh to breaking her on this.
I love.
this movie got the hype. The media took it and poisoned it. The American, it got. I'm losing my words. I can't express this.
I 100% feel you. It is. It
was done dirty. It was done dirty.
Yeah, I've had this debate many a times. With friends, but also there's a weird double standard for that versus like other things that are totally considered acceptable, like baby pageants and child pageants. I don't want to go into that.
It's only in the States that this movie is causing an uproar by these hypocrites in this country. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
We're not gonna go into it.
We're gonna move on.
Is real. Sorry. Okay. We're getting off topic.
Now, the Lethal Weapons ended up spinning opponent's choice. Huge moment.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose Hitchcock?
We chose Hitchcock for a couple reasons, not just one. And I'll be honest with you guys on this. I'll be a little transparent here. Adam and I have a lot of movie knowledge. We have a lot of movie knowledge. Y'all should be scared.
You do?
Yeah, we do. We've seen a lot of movies. We don't just study for them. We've seen a lot of them. Between the two of us, we've seen a lot. One of the movies we've seen a lot of might be Hitchcock. It just might be, Hitchcock's got a lot of movies. So much so, we might have seen enough of them that a category like that maybe would scare a lot of people. It doesn't really scare us, Would we go for it if we spun it ourselves on a first spin? I don't know. Because it is a lot of movies. But would we have confidence in ourselves that if our opponents spun it, that we could probably pick up the pieces, that they might stumble and we could pick up the pieces? Yeah. I think that's a pretty safe bet. We had a hunch with Ethan because we really knew that in order to win this match, Ethan was a Titan that we had to take down. We had to. It's like a Titan with a little his
little demon baby.
Well, yeah, on his shoulder. So we just had to get the Titan down, and the whole beast would fall down. So he was our focus. He was our focus in strategizing for round 2. And it was a hunch. It was a hunch with that Ethan would stumble with Hitchcock. It was a hunch. And it really paid off because the results kind of speak for itself. Apparently.
Well, you see, almost with every single question, you see them struggle for it. They're like, Jimmy Stewart's been in a lot of his movies. Let's go with Jimmy Stewart. And it's 100% a guess. There is a slight tumble as well. I was actually very proud I got this question. I was like, Kim Novak. Yes. That's the only one I know. But it's definitely, there's very few categories that we haven't seen Ethan really do well in. And this was the category that really kind of broke him a little bit. You can see Andrew Guy, based on his body language, he's he's just
he's trying.
He's trying, but he's at that point, he's just oh, F it. That's what it kind of feels like a little bit. And I don't blame him. It's it's a very difficult category to really kind of take on. But also watching them struggle with these movies, they're I didn't even know this was a Hitchcock movie. There's nothing. You couldn't have picked a better category, to be honest, on that wheel.
Yeah, and I think it did really, because to just at least say about these questions, some of them were kind of similar to our Harrison Ford questions. They were surface level. Most of them, all of them except for the last one, were pretty much surface level Hitchcock questions. Who starred in this Hitchcock movie? Who starred in this Hitchcock movie? Who starred in that Hitchcock movie? So that could have been a real crapshoot there. They were just surface level enough that if they were both, that if Lethal Weapons was able to just be, if their recall was just oh yeah, I remember that movie. It's this guy. I could see that movie, even if they hadn't seen it for a while. You know, they could be like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. It's this guy, because they were mostly like who's starting questions, but it does seem like they still weren't films that they had visited. Andrew said one was like since like high school. So that really worked in our favor. Ethan's not, you know, Ethan's like a producer, but not necessarily maybe like a critic. So it is up in the air of how much Ethan really would dive back into classic films, and review and revisit some really older films. That could be something to take into consideration, you know, and maybe that's the situation. Maybe it's not. Like, who knows? We'll never know. But it played out the way it did here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's again, you just couldn't have picked a better category for the wheel. We did get another super chat from Mr. Antoine Lemon, who says, as soon as I saw her promo against Bonnie, Marisol became one of my favorite competitors, players. I'm happy she chose to represent the greatest faction of all time. So a lot of love to Corruption and
Lemon. All right. That is humbling to hear. Thank you. That is, hey, I'm going to try to keep, I'm surrounded by amazing people, and I'm going to try to just do right by everybody and earn my place here. I'm going to keep trying. So yeah, thanks, man.
Something I don't want to say I kind of scratch that. I am actually kind of super nervous about it. Is that Shannon in particular, like I kind of mentioned earlier with my thesis, is that it would be a true shame for Shannon to work as hard as she does with the rookies that she has, and for them to succeed, only to find out she couldn't keep them.
She can't keep them all.
So because she can only have 3 competitors going into next season, and Corruption, obviously they're staying together. I mean, they got to stay in there. So I'm really curious as who that third person is being the next few people out, but I'm sure some managers are reaching out to you and being like, hey, what's up? Am I wrong?
I'll say this. I am prepared for, I'm aware of the reality of the situation. Especially, with like a match, like with the teams tournament, dropping. And I know that there are eyes. I know that there are eyes on Deception in the teams tournament and how well we do. I am anticipating and just preparing myself for the four offers, because and that's the best that I can do on my end, is to just prepare myself for the offers, the approaches, for people who approach me. I can't say I can't say what I will do. I mean, who knows such things. But I have been trying to get myself in the mindset of a situation I've never been in before, and trying to prepare for all approaches, all angles that people are going to come at me, or all ways that people are going to spin this and be like, "Come over here, girl," or stay with us, come join the cool kids,
We're about to go into the big moment. Actually, into the final question.
This point was very fun.
I'm actually going to turn up the volume for this. Actually, wait, scratch that. I'm going to turn up the volume for this one. I have to redo it and share it. 1 second.
This was definitely a very, very fun moment to watch.
An elderly woman disappears while traveling on what mode of transportation? Your opponents guessed a ship.
So
there's only like 1 or 2 other options realistically.
I do have, if we're time's running out, I do have the answer if we need to give it.
And 5.
Okay, Adam, it's a train.
3, 2.
Train, final answer.
Winners!
You pull out the final question on your own.
Deception! Deception wins.
Shannon's face.
Deception wins
Oh,
by
Shannon.
She is so
KO.
pleased,
Okay,
and rightfully
she is
so.
ecstatic.
You guys did
Victory
amazing.
here over the
Yeah, that
lethal
always
weapon.
makes it
Shannon,
worth it. That
4.
moment, seeing Shannon's reaction, like when they pulled her back up from backstage,
Mhm.
that's when I was just like, okay, this is I'm really feeling this. I just felt it radiating. I felt her joy just like radiating through the screen.
Well, I know we don't really talk all that much. We don't go into post matches, interviews, and stuff all that much. But I do kind of want to ask, what is your relationship with Shannon as a manager? What does she do for you as a competitor?
She looks out for me as a person first. That's what she does, and so she makes me want to play for her just as a person before as a competitor. Like she's not, I don't know how to say this without sounding like cheesy. She's not cracking the whip. Like she wants me to be there to win, and that's what I have to do, or else like she's gonna fry me. Like she's gonna toss me out like garbage. She wants me to be the best, be all that I can be.
I swear, you're gonna cry.
No, not at all. No. She wants. I mean, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but like the relationship that I have with her, she wants me to find everything that pretty much motivates. She wants it to just come from within. Wherever I have set the level set the bar for what I want for myself and how successful I want to be, that's where she wants to push me to. She's not setting the expectation. She's inspiring me to expect more from myself. I don't know how to say that in the right way. But yeah, she's always just been in my corner, rain or shine. She's always put my where my headspace is first, like my well-being before like any objective or any goal. Of course we want to win at the same time, but she's always made it just abundantly clear that's not my value to her. Like that's not she doesn't quantify me like that. And that has been true from day one. And it's something I don't see. You don't find that easily. And that speaks to Shannon as a person, beyond even Shannon as a manager in trivia competition. And that's what makes her distinctive. And by turn, what makes her distinctive as a manager in this competition, what makes her cut above and so unique, and so special. And when you motivate people genuinely inside out for the right reasons by what is true to them, you're going to get superstars. You're going to bring out the best. You're going to light a fire under their ass for a reason other than like, yeah, we just want to win, and that's something that she's pulled out of me. It's something that this family, this corruption family has pulled out of me and the people that I've met in it. And it does start with Shannon, because she made it all happen. So, I kind of like her.
Sounds like it.
So fingers crossed that it sounds like you definitely want to stay there overall. So
it would be very difficult to, it would be a hard act to follow.
it would be an adjustment, it seems like.
Yeah, it would be quite.
Yeah, I do think that, every manager is different. We always have to remember that it's, okay. Yeah, so it's, it's very difficult, but also like I said, going into Schmodown, it's very weird process, especially as a rookie, in this virtual setting. There's a lot of pressure, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so, her really kind of taking hold of that and really taking ownership of that and really just whooping ass some really great rookies is, speaks for itself. You better? Oh, we can't hear you.
Speak no evil.
In the meantime, we did receive some super chats again from an Antoine Lemon. It would be awesome. It would be a awesome heel move to drop Mike Kalinowski. Marisol, do you think Shanna would ever drop Mike?
So Kalinowski is corruption. We all realize this, right? I mean, is that ever even an option? Is that even an option? Are we still talking about that like that's an option?
I heard it mentioned that he will refuse to play if he's drafted by anyone else.
I think there's heel move, and then I think there's just like Lucifer, and I think like Satan, and I think and then there's heel move, and then there's just like he who must not be named, and Kalinowski. There is no corruption without Kalinowski.
Well, I feel like that's something a manager does, is that a manager really sets the tone of the faction as far as like what you expect from your faction mates and all that good stuff. Megs, in particular, specifically, is there any manager that you could easily picture Marisol being a part of potentially in the near future?
Oh, Marisol in particular. I could see her fitting in very well with, I would say something like Swag, maybe. Just, again, more of that camaraderie style of a faction. They all seem to blend together really well. So I could definitely see you jumping into that mentality really easily. Beyond that, it would be fun to see you with Kaiser, but I don't know if that necessarily would be the smartest move. It would be fun, but again, I don't know if that's necessarily the best move.
Mm-hmm. You went right for our two biggest rivals there.
Yeah.
I guess it's a dungeon arrival at this point.
They were at one point, I think.
At one point.
IG specifically.
Exclusively,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I can easily picture it. I'm like, it's like it shouldn't be one that I can associate you with, but for some reason, I feel like Gucci would want you.
Want you? Oh, absolutely.
And I can picture him drafting you. I feel like it would be very out of character and everything, but I can easily picture him managing you, or I can easily picture you doing it. I don't know if he would do it successfully. That's a big if, but I could see it happening. I don't necessarily want it, but again, I could visualize it very well.
I could visualize it too. I don't think I'm ready to hear Gucci's pitch if that day ever comes. I'd have to brace myself for that.
Yeah. I do kind of want to mention specifically that it's with Gucci, something I feel like he does really well is that he is able to, from what I've been told, that he is able to really bond really well with his faction. He is able to really create that, like you said, that kind of family dynamic, that environment that feeling for his faction that they are supported. Obviously, with all the recent losses, the belt losses in particular, for the faction hasn't really done well for him. But like prior to Ben Bateman losing and Founding Fathers not succeeding and everything, obviously, they said nothing but amazing things about how Gucci was, for them as like a faction family. So I could easily picture it. And plus, I don't feel like you need someone over your shoulder to make sure you're studying or staying on top of your shit, but you do need someone to help you there with strategy and for just general motivation and everything. So that's what I think he could provide. And not to mention, he's probably gonna like redraft someone like a pretty awesome champion or something like that. And as a result, that'd be a good source of knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that is an argument.
Yeah, I think just between you and Adam, I think everyone is in agreement when I say there's gonna be a lot of eyes on you guys as like the big rookies going into the next season. So yeah, we're going to see how that goes next draft 2021. That's going to be really interesting, which actually brings us to speaking of dramas, we're going to be going into our next segment, our last segment of our tonight's breakdown, which is Schmodown Fan Fiction, which is where we're just essentially pitching a storyline that could evolve from this match in particular. Now, let's start with Megs. Can you pitch us your own Schmodown Fiction for this match?
So, being Action Army at the core, though I am very objective on most every other things at my core, Ben and Drew are the guys that I have followed from the beginning. I want to see cutscenes involving Drew kind of devolving back into some of the antics we were seeing at the beginning of the season, where he was maybe losing a grip a little bit. He seemed to kind of bring it back around a little bit here lately, but then something's gonna tip him off again. So I could see this being a tipping point for him again. That's because I've missed all the great storylines that we usually get. So that's more just my draw for that.
I can easily picture that. Absolutely. Marisol, would you like to go next, or would you like me to go?
You go. I'm still brewing.
Okay, you brew away, because I'm going to pitch it. I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go for it again. Andrew Guy is going to be a manager coming season 2021. Why? Because he's going to this is a whole setup. This is a conspiracy. Hashtag the Schmominati is real, and he's running it, and he is going to be coming out next season as the manager of the Droogs, okay? As part of and Adam, just giving you a heads up, I am stealing your name that you made it, because they're going to be the Inglorious Dastards. It's on season 2021. And, manager, he's going to be a manager, or he's at least going to be an advisor. And I could easily picture him having a promo or something right before, at the end of Spectacular, being like, yeah, y'all suck. This is all sham. No, F this. Nah, and I could easily picture him just whipping out a promo and just going full ham, taking ownership of the Droogs next season. Because let's face it, I love Ken Napzok.
He was forced into it. It was not his first choice. He didn't
want to be there. He took it on because Christian begged him to. So.
Bribed him with money. Those checks.
It was an unpredictable situation. They spun it the best way they could, and we all saw what happened. That's a rough place for any faction to be in.
It is. It's really difficult for sure. Weston Iro says real quickly, Collins isn't really a rookie. He has home field advantage in the digital format, and also, how dare you? He is 100% a rookie. He is
considered a rookie by the league,
but he is totally a rookie. What? Come on now. But also, Adam just wants to reaffirm, I'm not a fan of this other manager talk.
I know, it's making me itchy. I know. I said they'd have to work pretty hard. They'd have to work pretty hard. They'd have to make a great pitch.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see how much certain competitors are going to try and assert authority during draft, of making it obvious that if you draft me, I will demand a trade. Because yes, a manager can only sign 3 competitors at the beginning of the year before the draft, but how much more are they going to want to try and finagle with other managers to say, well, if you don't take this person, I will let you have this one. There's so much more dynamic that can go into this draft, even before with last year.
I literally can't picture anyone in the Droogs being like, I actively want to keep Ken as manager. like Whitney, nah, he's casual, he's whatever, Brandon Hanna, he's definitely looking for other management. Alonzo,
Brandon would want to keep Ken
Yeah.
so Brandon can keep managing himself. He doesn't want somebody up there. He just wants
I can totally
somebody on
see
autopilot.
that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I get it. Someone that let him take the reins. But any other real competitors? Like,
I don't know. You make a
I'll
good
say
case
Jader is the only, and Jader also kind of just he seems somewhat
Hannah.
indifferent to either Hannah or Knapsack. He was kind of like, Hannah was more the manager in that match.
Oh, I just realized I am so sorry, Mukbane. I missed your super chat earlier. I apologize. Got lost in the conversation. I missed it. I apologize. I'm going to see if I can pull it up real fast. Mukbane Reviews asks, Marisol, what did you study in college? Just curious since you seem to have a broad and deep areas of experience. Love your voice and confidence too.
Oh. Wow, you were the best. It's a good dude. Or gal. I don't know who you are. What did I study in college? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's film. It's movies. Yeah. Specifically, film theory and video production were my focuses, my areas of study in school. And I'm always open to more when it comes to that. I love movies in 360 way. I love to talk about them. I love to watch them, and I love to explore them academically. I'm really gung-ho about them. I like to make them. I like to edit them. I'm all about them. So it kind of starts and stops with that in terms of studies. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very much like Rachel Cushing in that aspect, I imagine. Mm-hmm. And thank you again, Mukbang Reviews, for just keeping the lights on with us with C2A. We really appreciate it. And I apologize for missing the super chats. I apologize. Okay, you heard our Schmodown fan fiction. What's your Schmodown fan fiction tonight?
I mean, you really took the cake with that one. That one would be pretty enticing. But I'm kind of thinking, Megs, you got me thinking, Andrew Guy is pretty erratic. He is all over the place. He's tried a couple things, and they've ended up in a couple pretty rough KOs. He's tried to dig deep, find different sides of himself, of his personality, and it's not yielding quite the results I'm sure he was hoping for. So I think it's time to when that happens and you dig deep and you go back to the drawing board and you go back and figure out what's wrong. I think that he might have a rebirth again. And I think he might come full circle and might find himself feeling a little more debonair and a little more polished and a little more focused and with a much clearer agenda than he had before. And I think he would actually might surprise us and come out like completely turned around, just with a halo on his head, having turned a new heel, or not heel, but turned a new cheek next season. What if the darkness, what if the Schmominati was not the way? Like, what if he Schmominati's the Schmominati and it just disappears completely? Would that be too blasphemous? Would that be too extreme? Would that be pulling out the rug from under us too much? I don't know. What if just the light comes through the clouds and we get a completely different Andrew Guy next season?
I think it's kind of, you kind of maybe realize is that for a competitor that's played like maybe 3 matches total this season, he's had probably the biggest character jumps and story jumps out of anyone all season.
Yeah.
He's had it like the Schmominati thing. He was the debonair at the beginning. He was that. The retirement announcement late last year. He's been through a lot this season. It's been a whole bunch.
That's big swing.
Yeah. which would explain quite a bit for sure. Okay, guys, and that's it for us for this episode of Call to Breakdown with C2A. And we're gonna go ahead and go around and just kind of let you guys know where you can find us and all that good stuff. So Marisol, as our guest, you can start off with you. Where can we find you and your beautiful face, or not find you?
You can find me here on Movie Trivia Schmodown and maybe some after shows when you guys want to have me on, and I'll gladly join on. Occasionally on Twitter at Marisol_Mariah, MIRIAH. Occasionally on the fan page on Facebook, and more recently talking about movies, reviewing movies, and talking about the movies that I saw on Letterboxd, which is my name as well, Marisol Mariah on Letterboxd. So that's me.
Mm-hmm. Have you watched any movie recently on Letterboxd that you had on?
I have. I'm a little behind. I need to kind of flood it with everything that I've watched. I am a little behind. Yeah, the most recent movie I actually watched was Dave, actually.
This one?
Oh yeah, that might be me. You might have found me.
It's almost like I have been following you for ages.
It might be like that.
Yeah, and thank you for watching House Party from 1990. I appreciate it.
Oh my god, that movie is doing things to me during this pandemic. That movie is life affirming. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Everybody go watch House Party right now.
I love House Party.
Be safe during the holidays, and just watch House Party instead, and you'll just get all the good feels and the vibes. It'll make up for it. It's okay.
It's so weird and fun, and it's great overall. Real quickly, another super chat from Mr. Adam Collins, your teammate. Yeah. Check out Deception on the Cinefanatics tonight at 10 o'clock EST as well. Yes, guys, it's going to be both of them too. So yeah, that's going to be a good one. Mm-hmm. And now over here, Miss Megs, where can we find you, your beautiful face, and as well all your awesome stats?
Yes, so I post the statistics usually after the 24-hour spoiler window on the MTS pages, as so the main page as well as the faction pages. If you want to follow along with me personally, Megs_reclaimed on Instagram and Twitter, where I do my statistics stuff there, as well as things that are going on in my life personally. And you will always find me here on C2A doing breakdowns and other assorted shows, as well with this lovely lady up here, Alex Mack. Where can we find you?
You can actually find me on Twitter at real_Alex Mack over there, but also all the descriptions in the description box below is where you can actually find all of our names for the social media. So I just want to give you a heads up there. You can also find me hosting Cinema Bias with Video Drawer. We dive into movies that challenge us. We are both watching a movie for the very first time, Fast 5. From the Fast and Furious franchise, because I've never seen any of the sequels from the movie. And so that is a movie that's chosen for us. And neither has Drew. She's never seen any of the sequels from Fast and Furious franchise. So I'm excited to dive into that. I also co-host Mornings of the Outlaw, where we dive into movie news, stuff that's going to be going on tomorrow. So heads up there. Definitely come hang out. But yes, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please like and subscribe, and please leave a comment. That would be much, much appreciated. And just keep watching movies and wear a mask. It'd be really, really cool.
Movies are love.
Exactly. All right. Bye, guys. Enjoy your day.